Tarkov's overhauled recoil has been really awesome so far, and people are really enjoying that some of their favorite guns now feel even better to use. But in this video, I want to go over 5 guns that used to feel terrible that now actually feel pretty great and are definitely worth checking out. Let's get into it. Now, bear in mind, this list is not necessarily meta guns, and they're not all necessarily budget guns either. Some fall into one or both of those categories, but this is more just a list of guns that were completely overlooked that now you should definitely check out. And we're starting with what I think might be the King 556 gun right now, and that is the AUG A1. The AUG is pretty accessible. You can purchase it as early as level 1 Peacekeeper on day 1 of the wipe. And there's a few other variants as well. It does come with this little bit of a goofy optic on it, but what's nice about the bullpup kind of style of guns is that there aren't a lot of attachment choices, which means modding them is not too much of a headache. At Peacekeeper level 3, you can replace this with a new receiver and a low profile mount, like you can see that I have here. And then at that point, it's basically what optic, what flashlight, what suppressor, or compensator you want on there. And the base stats of these guns are really nice. As you can see, this is my fully kitted one at 43 recoil, and this is a stock one that you purchase from the trader, and it's got 46 recoil. Now, the AUG kind of threads the needle perfectly with this combination of it doesn't require a lot to mod, it's got good base stats, and a little bit slower of a fire rate, and all of that comes together to make this, with the new recoil, feel amazing. Semi-auto, even standing up, full auto bursting, feels really, really good. And if you work on compensating for the recoil really at all and give yourself the opportunity to crouch in the middle of a fight, this gun is unbelievably easy to control. As you can see, even out to like 40-50 meters towards the end of the hideout, you can keep almost all of your shots on target here. This gun feels very good, very fun to shoot, and not very complicated to mod out. It does have a few downsides though, that being the magazine capacity here. The highest you can get is 42. So you don't have those high capacity mags, the 60 rounders, the 42 are the 1x3s, a little bit more inconvenient to carry around, but you have something a little bit higher capacity than a 30 round mag if you want. And the other major downside here is going to just be the ammo. If you take a look at the 5.56 ammo charts, it's been a little bit harder to run this wipe with rounds like M855 being all the way up at Peacekeeper level 3, a little bit harder to get access to, and you don't really have many other viable options below M855. You can find decent ammo, all over the place, which is nice. And they kind of buffed the SOST rounds with 33 pen, 55 damage now. You can also craft those at Workbench level 2. So some combination of leveling up to Peacekeeper 3 or 4 to get, 5.5 or 5.6A1, finding ammo, you can get decent ammo for this pretty reliably. And if anything, it's more of a reason to run something like this when you do have a few good rounds, because you're not investing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rubles into an M4 and buying all these parts. Once again, you buy it, it's pretty much good to go right off the rip, throw a few attachments on it, and then when you die, you're not losing this uber expensive gun. It's great. Very, very highly recommend you check this out. 5.56 shoots fast, so you can throw a long range optic on it. Very versatile, very accessible. Awesome gun. The next gun here is going to be the G36, another 5.56 gun and another gun that was pretty awful before. The G36 was pretty much a meme when it first came into the game. It was a very, very bad. Towards the end of the last wipe, they got it into a decent enough state, but shares a lot of the pros and the cons with the AUG here. Very easy to mod out and also relatively accessible. So we'll start there. Peacekeeper level 2, you can purchase the short barrel version of it. It's got all the rails ready to go. You can get the really long boys at Peacekeeper 3. I would recommend probably Peacekeeper 4. The mid-length barrel, this has got the, I think, best base stats, but very, very similar to the short one. So this one's more accessible and a little bit easier to mod out. So once again, not too many attachments. Throw an optic suppressor of your choice and a foregrip, and you are good to go. One of the upsides here is that you can actually swap out the mag well to take standard 5.56 magazines, which means you can get those high capacity mags, the 60 rounders or even the 100 rounders if you're insane. But the downside here is it definitely has more recoil than the AUG. So if we're just kind of comparing apples to apples here, 60 recoil with one of the best suppressors in the game and some other attachments versus 43. Now, with the changes to the recoil, these numbers don't mean as much. The G36 is definitely still fun to shoot, but it's not quite as good as the AUG. But this is more included on this list for variety. If you like using more than just M4s and HKs over and over again, you should definitely check out the G36. Semi-auto still feels really good, even though it's got a tiny bit more camera shake. And I would say that the G36 has a little bit more of a horizontal shake back and forth, but in general, it's still usable. It's still fun to shoot because we don't have this really excessive lift where you're kind of looking up at the sky after you're shooting. Even though it has more recoil and even though you can see it bounce around a little bit more, you can still work towards keeping all of these shots on target, especially close to mid-range and even out, once again, in the hideout out to like 40 or 50 meters. If you work on it, you can keep most of your shots on center of mass, even from that far away. 5.56 hits pretty hard, so the G36 can also be very fun to shoot. Same thing top to bottom with the ammo, same situation there. Find some good rounds or get up to Peacekeeper level 3 or 4 for the decent rounds. And both of these guns, before we move on, you can kit out for roughly 150 to 200,000 rubles, even including the price of the gun, which isn't too bad, especially since when you compare some of the meta M4s that even still have around in between. I've seen some meta M4s with like 50 vertical recoil, 52 vertical recoil, and they cost literally 400,000 or 500,000 rubles. So variety is the spice of life, and both of these are super fun guns to shoot that you should definitely check out. Also important to note that both of these guns are purchasable on the flea market, which means you can get AUGs as cheap as 50,000 rubles and G36s as cheap as 30 to 40,000 rubles. You might not get the exact variant that you're looking for, but if they're out of stock or if you don't have a lot of USD, you can buy both of those on the flea as well. Moving on to the third gun in our list, that is the MP9. SMGs feel really, really strong this wipe, and the MP9 is another one that used to feel really, really bad. The high fire rate would mean that the gun would just go straight up into the air, and if you tried to semi-auto at any scavs or anything with this, it felt atrocious. This gun feels amazing now, and once again, accessibility is key here. You can get the MP9 at level 1 Peacekeeper for $220. You can also purchase these on the flea market as well for 20 or 30,000. There's the black variant as well. That is also pretty cheap. You can buy it for 20,000 rubles on the flea market. This one actually shoots faster as well at 1,100 rounds per minute. The suppressor and the compensator that you need to put it on are at level 2 mechanic, so not too hard to get. Also purchasable on the flea. And what's nice about SMGs is very similarly, not a whole lot to mod out here. Throw on a foregrip if you want to, your favorite optic. You can use this suppressed or unsuppressed because the recoil on these things is just that good. We're in the low 40s and it feels really good to shoot. SMGs now semi-auto feels really nice. So if you're having a hard time getting some of the better ammo and you're trying to conserve it when you're fighting scavs or something like that, you can semi-auto, hit those headshots and not have to worry about that crazy bounce. And then, as you can see, full auto with this gun is just absolutely insane. And it should feel that way. It's an SMG. It's good for close quarters. The ammo doesn't hit that hard. And if you're crouched and you're trying to compensate for the recoil, you can hit consistent shots. I mean, you can hit 5, 6, 7, 8 headshots in a row if you're working on it. And it just feels really, really good to shoot. The new recoil with the SMGs, if you're having a hard time getting some of the better ammo for this and you want to flip to semi-auto to deal with some scavs, super flat, super accurate, super easy to shoot. And then, I mean, as you can see, full auto, it absolutely laser beams. Now, it laser beams, but you're not going to be shooting way out 60, 70 meters with this. The ammo flies slow, and that's when you're definitely going to start to see some of that shake. But it absolutely beams close range. It's really easy to hit consistent headshots. And with how hard some of the bigger ammos are to get, like the 5.56s we talked about with the G36 and the AUG, or even 7.62, 9mm is looking even better. At level 2 traders, you can buy the M882 and the PST GZH, which have around 20 pen and 50-60 damage. If you're just beaming for headshots here, those can be very effective rounds. And once you get up to Peacekeeper level 3, you can finally buy AP 6.3 again. 30 pen makes this pretty effective against most helmets, or if you're just hitting consistent headshots. The new armor zones also make smaller calibers feel really good. You can also craft the AP 6.3. The Peacekeeper listing is almost always out of stock, but the craft is at workbench level 3, but it is another nice way to get AP 6.3. You can then actually use that AP 6.3 and craft the PBP, which is the best ammo for 9mm, 39 pen, 52 damage. Once again, even though the ammo is, not hitting as hard as some of the 5.56 guns, because of how accurate you can be with this gun, it means you can still be very, very effective. Moving on to the fourth gun in our list, that is the SR2. This is another SMG that was really overlooked before. They added it either last wipe or the wipe before, and it just kind of wasn't anything spectacular. It had a decent amount of recoil, so everybody just kind of was stuck with the guns that they were using before, but the SR2 feels really good now and isn't too hard to get. You can purchase it at Peacekeeper level 3 for about 53,000 rubles. You can get them on the flea market for a little bit cheaper than that. You can also get the suppressor for it. Same deal here. Once again, modability is very simple. Throw the suppressor on if you want, throw on an optic, and you are good to go. That's it. It's an SMG, so 30 round mags is kind of your max there, but not a whole lot to do to the gun and not a whole lot you need to do to the gun. This feels really, really good right now. This is one of the best feeling SMGs right now. I don't know, even with this kind of reflex sight, it just absolutely beams. Semi-auto feels really good. and you can just hit so many consistent shots. Very similar to the MP9. It just feels like what an SMG should feel like. If I'm shooting 40-50 meters out, it's going to be a little hard to control, but anything within that like 20-meter mark, and you're going to be able to hit consistent headshot after headshot, which makes this really deadly, even though the rounds aren't quite as big. So we can pull up once again the ammo charts here, and we can see the PS rounds you can get after completing the bunker, I believe. It's a reserve quest, and then you can purchase that. 22 pen, 54 damage. Once you get up to Peacekeeper level 3, you can purchase the 7U4, which is a new round. 27 pen, which is definitely going to help it pen more class 3 armors and helmets and stuff like that. 47 damage. And once you get to proper level 4, you can buy the BT rounds, all available from the traders now, which is nice. These rounds aren't that good. They might be the meta rounds for this gun, but they're not that insane. 32 pen for one of the meta rounds for this gun really isn't that bad. So I like this. You can buy it from the traders, and you just kind of have to have that balance of you then need to make sure you're hitting headshots or hitting those consistent shots to crush somebody's armor. And I like that push and pull there. You're not going to be 1 or 2 tapping people in the chest with this thing, but the recoil is such that it's really fun to shoot, and it's really fun to just kind of like mow people down. You're going to be reloading a lot. You're going to go through a lot of ammo, but I like that give and take there. The SR2 feels amazing. Then moving on to the final gun on our list here, and that is the MCX. This is a gun I feel like a lot of people have really wanted to love over the past few years since it's been in the game, but it was just not fun at all to shoot. I would use it. I still liked it. I liked the caliber. I just thought it was cool, but it really wasn't fun to shoot. It used to just have a ton of atrocious horizontal recoil, but now it feels really good. As far as accessibility goes, you purchase them from Skier. You do have to get up to a Skier level 3 in order to purchase them. I don't know why there's 2 listings. That's kind of weird. And this is definitely not a budget gun. You know, if you wanted to kit it out, you know, fully like this with all the best attachments or whatever, it's going to be a few 100,000 rubles. But the important thing is it just feels good to shoot now. It's much more of a linear vertical kick, which just feels good because it feels like it's a gun that you can master now. Semi-auto feels much better with this gun as well. If you were trying to conserve ammo, if you were trying to just get a few quick head taps, it was really hard before to get kind of like reset and, you know, go for your second shot. Now semi-auto feels much more viable, and because the full auto is just kind of that vertical kick, you can really learn it and master it. And as you can see, even just after a little bit of time, you can start hitting really consistent, you know, 5 to 7 round bursts, all in kind of the A zone or in a headshot up at 20-30 meters, which makes this gun very, very usable and very, very fun to shoot. Then if you take a look at the ammo, this ammo has always been really good. It's just that this gun was so overlooked that nobody really talked about it. Some of the earlier rounds definitely aren't anything to write home about, you know, 20 pen, 30 pen, but because this is a bigger round, it means you have more flesh damage. So like we said before, with the new armor system, even with lower pen ammo, you can actually be very effective. But the cream of the crop here really is once you get up to Peacekeeper level 4, you can purchase the CBJ rounds. This is basically a better 5.5A1, which is considered one of the best rounds for 5.56. It's got 43 pen and 58 damage, a really good amount of damage there, a really respectable pen, and this gun shoots really fast, 800 rounds per minute, and the fact that you can buy this from the trader means this is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. It's going to be crushing through almost every helmet in the game, and a few shots and you're really going to start destroying some armors as well. So the MCX is something I'm definitely super excited, got some love with this new recoil update. Kind of almost all of my issues with this gun were addressed, so I highly recommend that you check it out and give it a try. So that's it. Those are my 5 favorite guns to use that used to be terrible that now actually feel really good. Definitely drop a comment down below which of these you like to use, or if there's a gun that I missed that used to be terrible that you find yourself using a lot right now. If you like this video, think about dropping a like or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I stream this game from Tarkov about 6 days a week, and all my links will be down below. I'd love to have you come by and say hey. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.